On Saturday, Tishomingo will experience their very first Pride event, and with this new event comes some challenges. KXII 12's Marisa Sisk with how this Pride organization is facing these obstacles.
Rural Oklahoma Pride, a community organization created to make LGBTQ+ members in small-town Oklahoma feel accepted.
I wanted to express a change in the rural areas for the 2S LGBTQIA+ community.
They've brought numerous rural towns their first Pride events, and this week, Tishomingo will have theirs.
We're completely excited about this event.
But progress comes with challenges. Founders Jacob and Ryan said they've seen posts, flyers, and even threats surrounding the upcoming event. They say there have been attempts to create confusion and discourage participation by others, recreating their flyers with events scheduled the same time as theirs.
I grew up in a very religious home, so to see people want to exploit Christianity or their religious beliefs to knock down a Pride event, to me, it's just distasteful.
The organizations even had a parent express concerns after they saw threats of a drive-by shooting, but they say that even these threats won't stop them from having the event.
If we don't stay visible and vigilant, then that hate mongering and that discrimination will only grow.
In fact, they say they're not fearful.
We're not afraid anymore. At this point, we want people to know and to be encouraged to step out of that comfort zone. Be ready to protect those in your community, because why should we have to go back into hiding?
The founders of Rural Oklahoma Pride says tribal and local law enforcement have been made aware of the event. Tishomingo's first Pride will be held Saturday at Pennington Park. In Tishomingo, Marisa Sisk, KXII 12.